pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the record show that all three commissioners are present: Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Thomas, Commissioner Stone. And it appears that we have several from the public to be recognized this morning. You have 3 minutes to address the commission. Has anyone signed up that wants to address the commission this morning?
Okay.
No one has signed up? Do we have anybody that's wanting to speak? If you do, you must sign this board before you address the commission. Has anyone done that? Does anyone want to do that?
It's not.
Let's give a couple more
Okay.
minutes here.
I might.
Okay, all right, okay. All right, well, our agenda isn't completely packed, and I would just like to go ahead and veer off just for a quick second. First of all, on behalf of the commission, I apologize that any employee was made to feel unsafe in their work environment. The event that took place on Monday is something that nobody could have ever anticipated. However, it is something that we have taken very seriously. Our maintenance staff and also our administrator or coordinator, we were not here physically in town. We were in Charleston at a conference, Hogger and the three commissioners. And when we were made aware of the situation at hand, we began diligently making certain that everyone, and it was already being done, was doing what was needed to do to make sure our employees were safe, along with the sheriff's department. And we felt confident in the memo that came out from Mr. Hogger to all elected officials and department heads to give the option to the employees that if they felt too startled and unsafe, that they did have permission to go home if they wanted to do so. That was up to each department head. We certainly gave that option to our office personnel and forwarded that to anyone else in the building that felt unsafe and wanted to leave. We were notified by Mo Pritt, Sheriff Pritt, that the entire building was secure. The person that was arrested was made and we were notified that he was not dangerous, no weapons, all of his things were taken, and the building was made sure that there was no one else in the building. That was what the information that came to us. So with that, that's the decision that we had come to. Now, what we are doing is working through this, making an action plan to make certain that in the future, the line of communication is very clear. We can only communicate with the elected official, and it is the department head or responsibility to get that information to their employees. I hope I can see concern in the group, and so.
Can I just get a word in real quick?
Sure.
So I'm pretty confident that what happened after the incident and the steps we took afterwards were good. I think people are just more concerned moving on about security in the annex. So
I believe you're correct.
Need to talk about that.
Yes, I believe you're correct. There's several options here. The fact of the matter is that is a public building. In my tenure, there has been no incident of this happening. However, in previous commission's tenures, there has been instances where people have come into the stairwell for warmth, never to harm anybody. And so we really have to assess this correctly. Now, do we have, could we do something more, put security at doors? Having somebody at the door, I don't think could have prohibited what took place there, because it is
I
a
would-
public building
I
and
mean, I would-
anybody can
I
enter
would
the
have to
building.
disagree with that, because if someone was at the door, I think they could have realized that that guy was trying to go to the basement, which is prohibited, and up the ladder, which is prohibited.
Okay. I don't believe he did go to the basement.
Yes,
Yeah,
he
he
did.
Okay, how do you know this?
I just know because I've done my due diligence and went and talked to people before the meeting.
Okay, all right. Mr. Shea, was there something that you would like to speak about today? Please,
Yes.
because there apparently is information that the commission is not made aware of. If you feel that you want to talk about that now, I certainly, because I do not ever want to sit in a position where I'm putting employees of Preston County, any office, at risk. And if there is a risk, it needs addressed.
No, I mean, that
Please.
would, and I'd like to apologize for not letting you know that. I just thought that was
No,
public
no.
information.
Did you want me to come up?
Yes, that's fine,
Yeah,
that's
thank you,
fine.
Mr. Shea.
Let me start off by saying, I don't think anybody believes that the commission wanted or took this lightly or anything of that nature. I believe that you're taking it seriously.
Very seriously.
I think we can all agree on that.
And I thank you for taking it seriously. I will tell you that, having been one of the offices, and I wasn't here either, I was actually taking that day off to do things. I'm not even gonna tell you what I was doing, but the rest of my staff who were housed in this building were there. And they were directly impacted. Megan, the guy fell through the roof or the ceiling
That's what we understand.
in kind of between Sarah Beth's office and Megan's office, and his feet were dangling. And he managed to pull himself back up. He claimed to be a worker, but he was shirtless, of course. So they immediately suspected that he was not a worker. And then apparently he made it over above Mr. Hogger's office and actually fell through there. That's the best we're able to determine. Because Angie thankfully wasn't in her office, she was in my office at the time that he actually fell through. I'll tell you that I went back, I luckily was just very recently given access to the security cameras again. I had it previously, and then when the system switched, I didn't, so they hooked me back up. Because I like to keep an eye on who's coming and going, frankly, because of the nature of the business that we do.
Right.
I will stand in court and call people all kinds of horrible names because that's my job. And so some of us are not exactly well liked in the community. And I will tell you that I reviewed the camera, and I'm not sure, and I find this problematic, I'm not sure that anybody else has actually looked at the entire thing, because I knew things that nobody else seemed to know, including law enforcement. This individual came up this stairwell connected to this building, and he went over into the stairwell that goes down to the record room. He was there for approximately 5 minutes. Then he came back out of that stairwell. He walked around the parking lot, went into the back entrance, immediately went down to the basement, was down, of course, there's no cameras in the basement, that's something else that needs to be addressed, but you could tell from the one entrance camera there that he went down those stairs, was down there for 4 or 5 minutes, and he came back up the stairs and went up all the way up, presumably, again, there's no cameras beyond that point, so you can't say for sure, but I would assume at that point, that's when he went up the ladder. And that's the first big problem. That ladder was not locked up.
Yeah, I figured that was the big issue. I was like, I bet somebody got lazy and did not lock it as it should have been done.
And that,
May I address that? We were looking at that yesterday and today. The fact is that even though that ladder was dummy locked, everything was still in place. And you really can't climb the ladder and then put
I'm
things back.
thinking what
He tried
happened
to
is,
tamper with it. He tried to, he may have tried to tamper with it, but we had a chair at that landing for people who climb those stairs and have to take a break. And it looks like more that he got the chair over toward the ladder,
used the
got
chair.
onto the chair
No.
and was.
He opened the door.
so
He opened the door.
So
It was
was there a
still,
second person? that
there was
closed
not a second, I'm sorry.
it? Was there a second person that closed it back and
I don't-
dummy locked it?
I don't know if somebody closed it back and dummy locked it or not.
But the fact of the matter, it was not locked, and it would take absolutely zero effort to unlock the door.
Right.
And of course, there's no cameras there, so I can't definitively say, but it's my belief, based upon my investigation, that he climbed right up that ladder. And
Opened the plywood door up and climbed up the
Right.
ladder. He didn't climb up over the plywood.
right, that's my belief. And of course, he did not crawl out into the ceiling access from the ladder itself, because that's all, there's block wall there. You could not have made it into the main part of the building from there. So at that point, he had to have gone up onto the roof, through the hatch, onto the roof, and then down through the air handler is what they're suspecting, which makes sense because the first place that he apparently lost his footing and started to come through the ceiling was right by the air handler, which is located in my office.
Okay, so let me ask a question, and you probably know this, Joe. So we're not allowed, by my understanding, we're not allowed to keep the roof access locked for fire safety, like a fire escape?
Sure. We had a meeting with the fire marshal. He come to visit us on an unrelated matter and look through the sheriff's office yesterday. And I had asked him that question. And I also sent him an email this morning so we could verify we asked the question. And he did not get back with us at this point whether or not it can be locked, the hatch itself. So basically, even though the annex has many egresses for fire escape, so basically, if there's something going on in the first floor, as crazy as it sounds, folks could egress the roof and the firemen could save them
Yeah,
there.
save them from the roof.
Now, he has not give his ruling on whether or not we can lock the hatch. I just knew that there was certain restrictions there because in 30 years of employment in HVAC and electrical, never have I found a hatch that was locked.
No, it just,
So
it just
if
seems
I may.
kind of contradictory because if you have a lock around
If
the
there's a
ladder.
box on the ladder.
Right.
it should- The whole intent of the box on the
But I
ladder is
know
to
what you're
prevent
saying.
access.
We may not even be able to have a box around the ladder, maybe. That would have to
Well,
be
he
something we
will,
hear from the fire marshal.
we have reached out to him for the commission to give us a definitive answer to everything. And he will give his ruling and we will make it known, you know.
I guess, what everyone needs to understand is we are taking this extremely seriously. We are working on a plan to protect all of you while you're here serving the public. Should this have been done probably a long time ago? Probably so. Times are changing and we are certainly doing everything we can. Now, looking hindsight, there's not a lot we can do about what has happened, except do our best to prevent it from happening again. And what is going to take place is we are going to work seriously with our maintenance department and other elected officials, along with the sheriff department, to devise a plan that all of you will be made aware of, so that in the instance that something like this rears its head again, we are taking every precautionary measure. There's nothing we can do to change what happened. I'm certainly thankful that nobody was hurt during the process.
Well, let's just continue to talk through it a little bit here, since everybody is
If
here
I
right
may
now.
add to Prosecutor Shays, he was very nice to look over the camera. We very quickly found there was only one person, even though he was talking to himself up in the ceiling. But to you all's point, we learned a lot of stuff about the security system. So to Prosecutor Shay's point, even though the suspect went down the basement stairs, he did not go into the record room. He never came on the camera going into the record room. But that's not to say we learned a lot about, where we can see people and where we can. He could have hung out at the door of the record room and we had no idea. So it was a great learning experience and we've learned a lot, and we will quickly
So
make the
just-
changes needed to keep the.
Just so everyone's on the same page, so he got up onto the roof, and then how exactly did he make his way down into the ceiling area?
Certainly. So once he went on the roof, he saw we have a very large air handler that you can actually, has a door and you walk in. He walked in the air handler, and then there's another door you have to open. He walked into that. He had a very small door. There's a plate on the floor. He opened the plate and he shimmied down in there and he took off most of his clothes except for his pants. And he put his backpack and his cape and all of his stuff on a shelf. And he must have hung out there. How long do you believe, prosecutor?
I would estimate an hour.
So
somewhere.
is that, little door?
So
or
then,
maybe the-
For whatever reason, possibly under the influence of a lot of drugs, he decided to start talking to himself, and he believed that he could walk across the drop ceiling. And that's when,
So, is that door to the, that area and then that trap door in the bottom, is that something we can secure?
I believe we can secure the air handler door.
Okay, so that would be good because people can potentially get on the roof without even going up through the ladder. They could
You know-
climb up on the roof with the ladder from that they
And
brought.
securing that should have nothing to do with fire egress or anything.
Exactly.
That's nothing. to do with
No,
fire
I
egress.
agree.
Getting
So I
out of the
think we
building.
definitely need to make sure we secure that. We need to figure out if that, hatch that goes up to the roof, if we can lock that. If we can lock that, I'm in favor that maybe we just lock it because we have a box around the ladder anyway, so I don't think anyone would be able to climb that.
That's
And then
very
we
good.
just make sure that we have the box locked too.
So there are at least 3 other stairwells to egress the building. So it would be a very uncommon thing that all 3 stairwells would be impacted by a fire at the same time.
I think something that's super important, Dee Dee, you access the basement through this outside entrance, correct? And it is locked where you have to swipe in? Okay, I did believe that was to be fact.
And then,
The other thing that I would also like to make certain is that you get some pricing on getting security cameras in the
In the
areas of the
basement,
buildings
yeah.
that do not have. So if you'll get that price for the commission, we'll work on a plan, a safety action plan for all elected officials. Because in times of like that, people panic and everyone is upset, and that is something that we need to have people that are just prepared to take charge, to get everyone safely to a place. And I think that's truly what needs to happen. You know what you need to do to secure everything.
If
Any
we- if-
input that you would like to give is much appreciated during this time, since your office was, and I agree with you 100% that the things that take place in your office could sometimes, we'd like to think it would never happen, but the fact of the matter is there's a lot of bad people out there, and we've got to look at making sure that your perimeter is completely secure, and if a door that locks isn't enough, and we've got to look at extending the walls up and doing something different in your space, if that's gonna be your permanent home.
Well,
If that's gonna be, then we need to address those things. And so, do you feel that the commission has addressed this, given the fair amount of time this morning to address any concerns with this? We are working on it.
I just have one other point I would like to bring up. So does all, and I honestly don't know this, so does all elected officials in all offices have a panic button?
No.
That's something that probably needs to be taken care of.
So,
They do in the tax assessor's office.
so we need to make sure that, Jay, you don't have a panic button?
You guys know.
So that's probably something we need to make sure of too. So security cameras, locking everything up, and a panic button.
Right.
And then,
And I will tell you all, we have at least 1, if not 2 officers within the sheriff's department who are trained on how to do training for responses for situations like this.
Well, I will say this,
I had
Jay,
just-
and if you guys don't mind, I'd like
Yeah,
to
go
say
ahead.
something.
Please.
Way back when, and I remember this conversation, Denise, you asked me specifically when I got elected for your guys' time, why you guys who have carry permits can't carry in that annex. And it never went anywhere, even though I asked the other 2 commissioners about it, it never went anywhere. And I checked with the previous prosecutor, and he said there was no reason whatsoever. It's an arbitrary rule. The only thing it says is statute. Now, Jay, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been a while. My memory may not be exactly perfect on it. But he advised me at that time, the only places that by statute you can't carry a firearm in are areas where court is being in session. This would be one of those areas that we hold court, just like the courthouse. That building does not have court in it. So there is no reason the commission cannot change its policy to allow for its employees who have carry permits to carry while they're in the building. And I would like
I
to,
think that, I
Toss
think
that out
that
to
could
you
be
too.
because
it's really
an
easy to
option,
change.
I think
Well,
that would
and-
be an option, that if, like Megan was carrying, I think the guy would have been shot, to be honest with you.
And
Yeah,
what's the problem?
I mean, I'm just saying, then we're getting into a whole different can
Well-
of worms with having someone dead in our area.
First of all, I'll say that your understanding of the statute is also my understanding. I believe that's
Okay.
correct. And I'll tell you, I mean, historically, in the prosecutor's office, none of us have carried before. We are law enforcement officers and we
You
fall
are?
under a whole separate, I can set a policy for my office,
Yeah.
designate and get them the qualification and they can carry at the courthouse or
Mhm.
federal building or anywhere else, just like just like a police officer can. And I'm thinking about that very hard after this incident.
I would almost advise you to do that.
Yeah.
Seeing how, I mean,
And I
no offense, but there are other states where prosecutors and their have been attacked.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean,
It's
kidnapped and killed.
Yeah.
So that is something that you really ought to look at.
I think that's a good point, Don, and Jay, you can definitely look into that. And are you, do you feel safe with the type of lock on your door and the door you have right now?
Not particularly, no. But I mean, locks are,
Locks
Locks
keep
keep
honest
honest people
people out. That's all locks do.
I mean, if somebody's bound and determined to get in there.
Exactly. You can't harden that
Obviously.
building.
But do
You
think
can't harden that building
do you
well
think we
enough
need-
right now that I could not get into it.
You can't keep it
Fair
public.
point. But do you think we should look at a different lock, like a deadbolt? That way, if someone was trying to get in, you could
I mean,
deadbolt
you
it?
could always make it more secure, absolutely.
Okay.
Because
I know you guys have deadbolt locks. Don't you, on your
Actually,
offices?
I know this is silly, but it doesn't even take a deadbolt. All it takes is a drop lock. All you have to do is, basically a hinge lock that just folds down. Because that in and of itself, and then it's manually split it up when you get ready to let somebody in. Because there's no lock, there's no locking mechanism, but the thing is, a piece of metal across the door and across that, like they used to do, okay, it's ancient history, but they used to have those,
I have
the
a
drop
lock like
lock.
that on the.
And that's all you have to do, because that in and of itself will not, because here's the thing you have to learn about when somebody tries to break into a building or tries to be an active shooter or whatever, if they can't get a door open easily, they move on. It's real simple.
Well, to that point, a part of my investigation, I was trying to figure out if this guy did this anywhere else. And apparently he was at Monroe's at about
Okay.
9:10 or 9:15 in the morning and was chased off. And
Okay,
was told, we're gonna call the police, and they
Right.
did.
yeah.
Supposedly, that's what I'm told. I can't verify that. I haven't verified that yet, but,
Mm-hmm.
and he was pretty easily chased off. So yes, I mean, these kind of people pick the easy target. And the sad part is the easy target is us.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, the concern I have is we don't really have a policy in place to tell people what to do in this situation. And I mean, I'm watching the security camera and all the employees are standing out in the parking lot. Now, if this guy, I'm using self-constraint by calling him guy, had been armed and been on the roof,
Exactly.
they were all sitting ducks.
Yes.
So I think, let's not beat the horse down the road. If you guys agree with this, I think we need to begin working on a safety plan and do a safety assessment of the annex, courthouse, and sheriff's office, just to make sure we're all tight. And if we can, I would like to send an email out to every office holder and every,
Department head?
yeah, department head. Thank you, Samantha. And that way we can get your guys' recommendations on what you think we should do, because you know best. It's your office. I'm not in your office
In
daily.
situations like this, even if you have a fire or whatever, there should be rally points so that accountability is taken on anybody. You know where you need to go to be safe, and then the department head or office holder knows, I had 3 people here today. All 3 of them are here, I'm good. You know what I mean? That's the key. Like I said, whether it's a fire or an individual, and you have accountability to your people.
Is
That's
that-
the thing.
So,
And that's a common thing. You have to have a rally point to where people know to get.
Samantha, Dawn, sorry, Dawn. Is that something you guys want to go ahead with?
I think that's the direction we were already heading.
Commissioner Thomas, if I may speak to that, in about July, we approached the health department. I don't understand why the health department is in charge of making the action plan, the fire egress plan, and that process has started already.
It's just
And, you know,
procedure and all.
so I think it's Tony that works in the health department, he has experience with 9/11. I think that's why BJ Davis picked him to make the reaction plan and the fire egress plan and all those plans. So we are working on that right now.
One thing that I would like to conclude here with, unless you have additional things you'd like to
I have
speak
one
about.
more thought.
Okay, well, this might be it. I've already, probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, while we were at the sheriff's department, working through some of the flood mitigation and things that took place over there, I'd already had some very serious conversation and dialogue about active shooter training, ALIS training. And so it's my understanding that that is something that they're willing to do at any time. And if the commission were to ever go in a direction to allow employees to carry in the facilities here while they're working, that opens up a whole other dialogue of things that could take place in the event that somebody felt compromised or in danger. And so what I would like you to just have on your radar is that I've already had some of that discussion, but we hadn't gotten to a point in all the events that have been taking place to discuss it as a commission. But that is another way, something that you can most likely expect if we decide that we want to do that, to go into that ALIS training. I've been through it. It's nothing you ever want to think could happen, but what happens when you're not prepared to react to situations like that can be very bad.
This day and age, you never know. You have something, Jeff?
And I wanted to clarify to your suggestion, we do have a courthouse security policies and procedures manual in place. Some of that does apply to the annex, but not all of it. So we do have that starting point, but the courthouse does receive at least annual reviews. That mostly comes because we are.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff.
That we are, when we go for the courthouse security grants, they require a meeting of the committee at that point. And sometimes some of these issues are brought up then. Judge Schaefer certainly has his ear to the ground on security issues in the courthouse, and we are in communication about that as well.
And I believe did they end up having active shooter training over at the courthouse? Was that just state employees?
Not yet.
There was talks about that.
There's been talks,
Yeah.
and I'll shut up. This is my last point I want to make. I appreciate you all taking this seriously, but I've been around longer than probably almost anybody except maybe one person in this room. And I'm telling you, these conversations have happened before, right? And they just go by the wayside. This cannot happen again. I just found out this morning that this individual, and I don't think he was here for any nefarious purpose, although I can't get in the mind of somebody who's addicted to meth. I just can't.
Yeah.
He was armed. He did have a knife. I just found that out this morning. If he had been confronted by somebody, it could have been really bad.
Yeah.
And we can't let it happen again. This cannot fall by the wayside like it has in the past, because this conversation that we're having today, maybe not to this extent, has happened more than once in the past and nothing happened.
Well,
It just kind of eventually got swept away, and that can't happen.
I would agree with you, Jay, and I think this is the pushing point to where we will definitely take action. And I think me and all the other county commissioners will agree that we're not going to let this continue to happen. Yeah.
I have not, in my tenure, known of anything to this level to take place. Is there something previous that was?
No,
I mean, like.
Not while I've been around.
Okay, because
Not while I've been around.
I mean, you have to go back to the 1800s when they were shooting sheriffs. and stuff.
Nothing since I've been on commission, nothing like this has happened. But it is, we've always, like I said, we talk a lot, like Jay said, and that is my problem. We talk a lot. I don't want to talk. I want to do something.
Something so serious as.
And that's what I've said before on different things. I want to do something. That's within our power to do.
So if I may, Commissioner Smith, I would like to reiterate, and I would also to Commissioner Stone's point, I would like to thank the court security staff and of course Mo and the whole entire sheriff's department. But I think that their response to the incident was absolutely amazing. So basically, if we look over the incident that happened after he got up out of the prosecutor's office and fell through Joe's office and made it to the elevator, the court staff had him. As many of, like the tax office can verify, they came running in very quickly and got the fella very quickly before he even made it away from the second floor. So our thanks to court security for being vigilant and very quick in their reaction. You know,
I would
the
agree with
suspect
that,
was
yeah.
detained in less than 8 minutes after he fell through the ceiling. And I think their response to the situation was absolutely amazing.
I will say, if you don't mind, I will say one thing. I do, you know, we're talking about the camp buttons. That is priority, please. There is one in this room, there's one in other places, but there needs to be one in each of the offices, just in case. And I think that's a big plug right there, even before the security cameras, that needs to be done. So, and then the security camera. But those two obviously.
And I,
Yes, and if there is anybody in the room that feels that your concerns this morning have not been adequately addressed and you do not feel confident that we are completely understanding the severity of this situation, please, please, please email me and
We email all of us.
and just let us know, please, let us know. Because we only know what we know, and I do know that we were not here. We didn't have the fear that each of you felt. And so we will address this. We will get a plan in place and we will move forward. And I just pray that none of you ever have to deal with that again while you're at work. Unfortunately, we can't control anything that happens, but we can be prepared for events that could potentially happen. So I thank all of you for coming, and if that's all that we have on this matter, we'll move on with regular business. Thank you. All right, go ahead and take a review of the bills.
At this time, I move that we pay and, well, approve and pay the bills that have been properly presented.
second,
Been properly moved and seconded to pay the bills that have been presented and approved. Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
yes.
Yes. Next up, we have a tax correction from our assessor's office.
Yes. Another correction, first, she filed it to counties and paid them now.
At this time, I move that we approve the tax correction list as been presented by the assessor.
Second,
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the tax correction list for Anna M. Hurst in the amount of $278.28 as it has been presented by the assessor. Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Connor.
Next up, we have an appointment that we're extremely late for, and I apologize. Sometimes we have to veer off the beaten path. We have Dwayne Hamilton and Justin Wolf over our E911 OEM office with an employee retirement resolution. Yes, okay.
Last year, we got some legislation passed that actually covered our employees that does not cover existing employees. We have current legislation working on to cover that as well. But what this does is it's asking you to be a participant employer in the emergency medical services retirement system for dispatchers. It's more like the state police. I think I sent you all out kind of a breakdown of what all would mean as far as for them getting out. Right now, your age plus your years of service have to equal 80. This is your 50 years or 20 years of service. So with that, and this is also as a effort to retain employees. It's a high burnout job as far as that because of the nature of what we deal with constantly on a day-to-day basis. So we're asking that you enter into this ordinance along with several other counties that are already.
Ordinance or resolution?
Resolution. A resolution. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
okay.
Sorry.
I'm gonna say, I was like, wait a second.
That resolution.
Is there, can I ask a question? real quick?
Sure.
Is it, I read through this when you sent it the other day,
Yes.
and I just wanted to look at it again, just make sure I didn't miss it, something. Is there already a bill introduced to change this or not?
To cover everybody?
Yes.
It's in the process.
Okay, do we have a bill number yet?
There is one for new employees, so this would only affect any new employees that we hire at this time.
But to cover everybody, I don't think there's a bill number on it.
There's not a bill number. Okay, that's the reason I asked, is that way we could get a hold of the legislator and say, hey, you need to look at this
We will pass
bill.
that information on to you, but they are.
Because otherwise, if we just say, hey, whatever, unless we can tell them specifically a bill number, I mean, there's 2,000 bills out there.
Yeah, that should be changed.
The Fraternal Order of Police issued a letter of backing just the other day
Yeah.
for existing employees.
Okay.
We're talking about the initial.
Okay. Alright. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I didn't know if maybe something had changed since you said this to me, and there's a bill number out there.
This is as of 12/6, I don't know if you want to, this is the counties that have already passed the resolution.
No.
Anyway, we're asking today that you approve this and have it, it has to be signed by the county clerk.
And,
Okay.
and
You have
another
a
thing,
copy of the resolution?
he sent it to us, but
Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
very good. The other thing I ask is, this is something that we probably could have made as one of our legislative priorities if we'd known about it ahead of time, so we could have got it on the radar screen for
Well, what
the
this,
Association of Counties.
what they're going with these are the more people that participate with this, it's showing more interest that the counties are going to participate
Okay.
with the next piece of
Well, then
legislation.
maybe next, even if it doesn't get done this year, we can get it on our priorities list for next year, and then, with, like you said, with the sheriff's department, and then I think it would be, if we could get them to agree with us, the county commissioner, it has a little more push to it.
But we supply them with all kinds of data. They just asked this morning for, how many dispatchers we've lost in past 11 before they had 10 years of service,
Okay.
which is a pile of them. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, unless there's any other discussion on it, I mean,
It's just really for the clerk to sign.
Yeah,
There's no place for, so,
Yep.
that's it.
yeah, I just want to make a motion that we approve this resolution to become participating employer of the West Virginia Emergency Medical Services Retirement System, or 911 service.
I would like to second that.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the resolution that needs to be signed by the clerk of Preston County, Linda Huggins, to become a participating employer of the West Virginia Emergency Medical Services Retirement System. Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Yes,
The only thing is that's dated the wrong date.
Oh,
yes, it does. It has the
It's got
20.
yesterday's
oh,
date.
dated.
Yeah, it's got yesterday's date on it. So,
Oh, that's right. It was before the.
And then she
Oh,
can make a copy of that once she signs it.
okay.
Yeah, and we have to send it to a few other places, and then there's a few other steps to it, but we'll make sure that it gets sent to the right place.
Okay.
Homeland Security Grant.
I'm requesting that the county commission president be authorized to sign a Homeland Security Grant Program Award. This is for cybersecurity measures. As you're aware, you all have put a lot of money into cybersecurity for the county, and this will help to enhance it. I've been working with Brandon and my team shares. This is endpoint detection systems. So we actually wanted to do a 5-year plan, but the company would only do 3, so we maxed it as far as we could. So this will give us 3 years of endpoint detection. And with that, the grant award is $27,000. And with that, I'd like to ask the president to be authorized to sign.
All right, this time I move that we authorize the president to sign this Homeland Security Grant Award document, Homeland Security Grant documents, for cybersecurity.
I would like to second that.
It's been properly moved and seconded to authorize the president to sign the Homeland Security grant documents. Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. This is the paperwork voting. And I will submit that, and once they sign, I will get a copy back.
EMS Association.
Yes. Next, the Preston County 911 Advisory Council has representatives that the Preston County Commission has to authorize. I believe a few weeks ago, we took care of the Fire Association and our 911 representative. So I'm presenting this on behalf of the Preston County EMS Association. They requested our nomination be accepted for Robin Feather to a term ending 12/31/2023 for the volunteer squad representative. And then also Pam Thomas to a term ending 12/31/2024. Pam will replace Shauna Knotts as the paid squad representative to the 911 Advisory Council. And they voted on this at their meeting on December 20th, 2022.
Okay.
There it is.
I would like to move to accept the Preston County EMS Association's request that their nomination be accepted for Robin Feather to a term ending 12/31/2023 for the volunteer squad representative to the 911 Advisory Board, and Amelia Thomas to a term ending 12/31/2024 for the 911 Advisory Council.
I will second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded to authorize the request for the EMS Association for the commission to appoint Robin Feather, term ending 12/31/23, the volunteer squad representative for the 911 Advisory Council, and also nomination to be accepted by the commission for Pamela Thomas to a term ending 12/31/2024. Pam will be replacing Shauna Knotts. Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much. All right, we will go ahead and move along with an approval of the minutes.
At this time, I move that we approve the minutes of January 3rd and the 10th.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes for January 3rd and 10th, 2023. Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Yes. There's some estate settlements that need approved.
Madam President.
Okay. Is it on there?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah.
I checked it off. I apologize. I did.
Yeah, it's
Okay, all right. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I just
It's
thought
been
you
a
guys
lively
wanted to hang
morning.
out
We-
with us today. No, no.
No, if they have an appointment.
I checked
they-
it off.
It's
If
not-
they have an appointment time, that way they can get to where they need to go.
I was listening and I checked it off. I'm sorry.
That's just some more information. I did send that over.
Yes, you did. You actually gave us some of this stuff.
Okay, good. And attached also is our annual report that David Cooper will talk a little bit more about. But today, we're just here to request some funds for Run For It, which happens the last weekend of September, full weekend of September, the 23rd at 11 a.m. This race aims to raise awareness for nonprofits, charities, and other organizations within our 7-county service area of West Virginia and then Garrett County, Maryland. In the past, we have requested $3,000 in funds from you guys, and we are asking for a little bit of a bump, just $3,500 from you all. You can see on that second page that is attached the funds that come back into that county and how your contributions have been distributed to those different charities and nonprofits, depending on how much money they get in donations every year.
Definitely more than $3,000.
Absolutely.
Yes, maximizing our dollars, right?
Maximizing your
Great, and
dollars.
we're glad you saw that because, right, it is seed money.
Yeah.
So it's seed
Right,
money
and
to
that's-
cause people to do
That's-
more.
In the past, when we donated to, well, contributed to it. It was, we knew it was being leveraged.
And it's all coming back.
So you're
And I-
leveraging that money all the way to 26,000 when you total up grants and scholarships?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a, great thing. I don't think we have any problem with this, so, I would like.
No.
No.
This is, they
This
are
is
for
coming
budget
before us.
For the budget,
For
for
the
the
budget.
budget time. we'll do that.
So, over the next.
Don't do anything.
No,
I'm new here.
That's
okay.
So traditionally, this time of year, we have organizations that will
So
always
we're
come back
budgeting it
and
for the
present.
2023.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
You got it. You got her, bud.
And so
You got it, man.
I
You're on.
always direct people in your path, because it's not always that we can give to every organization, but by giving $3,000, that really does maximize what we're doing. And so we do send people your way occasionally when they come and need some funding that we can't do. So I appreciate you guys coming. And
Of course.
would you like to share a little bit more about the program with our new commissioner?
Well, we brought you an annual report. Again, as Hannah pointed out, we have 7 counties in West Virginia we serve, and then we do 1 county here in Maryland. We have $37 million in assets. So there are a lot of things we're working on right now. I think Dee's gonna take a picture for us after a while from the reporter with Rollsburg. They have started an endowed fund with us. And that's basically why we bought the annual report, is because what we're trying to get is people to understand if there are people who do have money and want to leave it for a cause, the foundation is a great
Sure.
vehicle to do that. What we'd like to do, because the number that you just see that's coming back to Preston County, in Tucker County, you can imagine that's where it started from, and then we bloomed out. So $240,000 was given out to Tucker County last year because of people leaving scholarship money, people leaving grants. So that's what we're hoping to get more word out in Preston County to do the exact same thing. And Rollsburg has come on board. They're doing a program for their little corner of the real estate down there. They're giving us the check today. We're going to take pictures, and it's going to be a big plus for Preston County.
Yeah, I know in the past I'd actually, you guys, previous bracket, I actually was part of the selection committee when you guys were handing out different scholarships and
Oh,
grants
absolutely,
to
for
different
here.
organizations. So,
Correct.
yeah.
Yep.
You can probably anticipate West Preston School might be reaching out to you. They
We're
do.
we're hoping.
And so I did point them in your direction, and the only thing I would love to see change is, darn it, it always is during our Buckwheat Festival.
Correct, it is. You're
Not
right.
necessarily, there's been 2 times it wasn't, because I went up there. There was 2 times it wasn't, so yeah,
I
I
think
did
that's
go
when it
up there.
happens to, or when we trickle into October,
Yeah.
right, we miss it, but,
So this
Yeah,
run
it's
for-
But generally, it's the same time, yeah.
This run for its sponsorships, top team awards, so these are all the sponsorships for your program, so all the money coming in.
For the entire event. Most of the work is done by the teams.
Yeah.
So like 80% of them raise that money. It's nice because the foundation, there's no strings attached to it. What they raise go directly back to them. They can pay for whatever they want. They can do a salary, they can pay for a program or computers. There's no strings attached. During grant season, there's strings attached. You can only go to certain items.
Right.
So this is a nice program that nonprofits can get a boost. And if you look down our list, the libraries have really jumped on board.
Yeah, they
All
really
of our
have, yeah.
counties.
I knew before,
So-
I knew before like Kingwood Elementary and Aurora Elementary School had been on this and stuff like that. So that, you know, I mean, they've all participated, Friends of Cheats done
Yeah,
it before in the
exactly.
past, the Humane Society's done it.
And then when we-
And this year, it isn't on Buckwheat Festival weekend.
Well, there
That's
you
The
go.
week before.
Good.
So I'll definitely try to be there. So
Great.
going to like grants 2021. So these are all the grants that were awarded in 2021.
Correct.
Here and then, okay,
And then, of course, that's a 2-year,
2-year book.
because of COVID, we put it in a 2-year book because we
Right.
didn't do it.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
because we participated in it. Year before, last one was virtual, all virtual.
Correct.
I had to think for a second.
And we are leaving that as an option so that more people can participate with these nonprofits.
I think
it's a good
They can
idea,
do it in
actually.
person, right?
you have 2020 and 2021 right here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's nice for us to be able to come and brag on you guys, because when you guys did do the seed money, you see the result. And again, as you know, your money's only coming back to Preston County. That's,
Thank you so much.
yes, thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Have a great day.
You too.
Be careful going back to Tucker County.
Yes.
We'll try to take it with us.
All right, now let's move on to the state settlements.
Capricorn's not here today.
That's fine.
All right, at this time, we're making a motion to approve the state settlement with Casino Palms.
I'm abstaining from this vote because of personal conflict.
Then I will second that. It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the state settlement list for January 10th, 2023 through January 12th, 2023. Please, before the vote, just a little bit for the record that Commissioner Thomas is abstaining. Make sure that's known to the record. Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Stowe? Yes. All right, we'll move on to the PIDs.
This time, I'd like to make a motion we dispense with reading of the PIVs and accept them in the record for January 11th. That's creepy. January 11th through the 18th, I'll just do it that way.
Okay, you're good. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to dispense with the readings of the proceedings and vacation and open for discussion and enter them into record for January 11th, 2023, the 12th, 2023 through the 18th, 2023. Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Yes. Nothing under the fiduciary commissioner report today brings us to our old business. Hunter, EMS ordinance discussion, do you have anything you'd like to discuss today?
Just real quick, because we have a work session coming up here soon. I'm working on getting that information to you, Don. And there was
Yeah, I was gonna ask you.
Yeah, there was a lot of great conversations down at the trip we went to at the CCA.
I would agree. I've talked to several other
Hardy County, she
commissions.
talked to
I talked
Hardy
to
County.
Hardy, I talked to Mineral. Some that have an ordinance, some that don't. I talked to Cabell County, I talked to, oh gosh, but I know I talked to them, Hardy we talked to. So, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of great information coming out that I think shows us.
And grants.
Okay, Grant County, I don't think I talked to Grant, but a lot of great information on what we should and shouldn't do, and I think we can pull that into our work session in another week. That's all I have on that.
Anything for ARPA funding?
We have nothing for this week,
Okay,
for me.
okay, all right.
I'd like to discuss Roseburg Park and the Preston request a little bit more.
Okay.
So I really want to look at, to start with Roseburg, which I should probably, if you want to give me a second to pull this up on my iPad, because I don't believe I have it yet.
Hold on, can you cancel our 10:30? I don't think we're gonna make it.
It's 11.
Okay.
And the adjuster is changing, so we're.
Okay. I'm sorry if I can.
No, you're fine.
Okay, yeah.
I was gonna say, I have it here too.
Okay, thank you. I would really want to look at maybe funding just the roof project, because I think that's what I feel is the most
Oh, for
important
Roseburg.
for them, for Roseburg, or Town of Roseburg Park project.
I have spoken with Lori, who came in and presented,
Lori Sisler.
had came in and asked her to prioritize the request, as they had submitted 3. One was for the roof, one was for a refrigeration system, and then the last one was for the walking trail.
Yeah.
And she stated that the roof and was the most important, and then trickled to the refrigeration system. They use that park, countywide people rent the facility and use it for fundraising activities and different things throughout the year. And so the walking trail, although it does need to be addressed, wasn't the priority there. It was the roof and then the refrigeration.
Yeah, I spoke with Lori too, and she said the same thing, was the roof was the #1 priority. And I actually helped down there on Labor Day, I believe, and they have a really good community event to raise money for the park down there. And I just think that's something we should really look at. Actually, can I just go ahead and make a motion?
You most certainly can.
I would like to move that we,
make sure in your motion, as you do that, that we are awarding it and it will be funded contingent upon
Yes.
proper documents. Okay.
You have the little statement, you can go for it.
Okay.
I know, I always have it memorized, so,
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe. I move to award American Rescue Plan Act funding to Rollsburg, the town of Rollsburg Park, for the purpose of the roof project in the amount of, let's make sure we get this right, $23,974.
That is correct.
This award is contingent upon Rollsburg Park or the town of Rollsburg meeting all the requirements set forth by the commission to receive the funding.
No, we'll second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded to award the funding for the Rulesburg Park roof project in the amount of $23,974, contingent upon the proper documentation being completed. Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Yes.
And then just some discussion on the town of Preston's request, because I think it's kind of my obligation to give you guys a little bit more information since I'm from that area. So if we look at that bridge right there, that's Mill Street. So that's the street that comes between the old Herring or the country store right there.
Right.
And the old Millstone, or what is now Pizza Pro. And it heads back to the state access to the dam, which is state property, where the town has a pavilion and there's a boat entry ramp and where a lot of people go to do recreational stuff. It also is an outlet point for the fire department and the EMS. With the current condition of the culvert, they're not running their trucks and ambulances over that access right now. And that road actually does dead end right there. There is the Haynes parking lot to cut through, but if anyone ever wanted to raise a fuss about it, Mill Street dead ends at the dam.
Is Mill Street a county route?
No, this is just a municipality street.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, looking at it on the map,
I don't have that document.
So, yeah,
really
so-
doubt that it would be, because there's the county.
So that's the county route, follow Mill Street down and the bridge is right there in the creek. And it dead ends right when you get, so run your finger up through there. Once you get up there, it dead ends right there. It does not go out through Haynes parking lot.
Okay, it doesn't go this way.
That is actually
Yeah, it actually
private.
stops right here. Okay. I see like it almost looks like a different,
Where it's been paved or something.
yeah,
it's
different
just
gap and different change in the pavement. So, yeah.
But the fire department's just really been advocating that the town and or the county figure something out.
What was that
for
total quote for that
problem.
project?
It was, hold on a second.
And what was their request from the commission?
The
I can
request,
have
the request was for,
I believe the request was for 30.
yes, the
And
request was for
the-
30.
The
The actual bid was $24,947.
Thank you, Joe.
Did we get an updated request to the exact amount, or is that, what?
We were
I guess
basing that
do you
on,
have
They had
additional-
two quotes, and
Updated?
So what they stated to me, and this is from the mayor, Mary Nyman, is that they just need the money for the actual bid, the lowest bid that they have received.
Right.
Okay, and what was the scope of the project? I mean, is it just Band-Aiding it? Is it fixing it?
No, it's actually
No,
fixing
it's,
it. It is
a brand
actually,
new, culvert and taking care of straightening out that
it
creek
will
there.
widen the bridge to 40 feet, and it will clean up and improve the drainage and all the culvert from Union Street all the way under the bridge through to Sandy Creek. So it's basically that entire,
So the
section.
creek that heads from Compressor Station Road or Union Street, so from Family Dollar
right,
back behind Haynes Store to the actual, Big
Yeah.
Sandy River is very, eroded and curvy. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna straighten that out, stabilize
Yeah.
it with stone.
Yeah.
And then they're actually gonna put a whole new culvert or pretty much a bridge, two big culverts in there. So there's more water flow and the bridge is
And
actually
it's
safe
only
to travel.
24,000 to do all of that?
Yeah, that's what they're, well, I'm looking for the original grant. They have actually already committed 18,000 of their own money.
Yeah,
So they have actually, I'm looking for the original email, I'm sorry, I wasn't.
the 24,000 is what they are requesting.
There we go, I found it, Okay, one of them was a bid for 24,000, that was the low one, the $24,947. And then the other one was for 26,000, was $26,675. And it's basic, it's the same scope of work, it's basically, they're installing 40 feet of 5-foot diameter culvert, basically, they're running that whole creek line through there. And it's gonna backfill with crusher and stone, and they're gonna pour a pad on it, they're gonna put a guardrail post on it also, and
I
they're
thought
gonna
they
put
were
the
just
post, they're not gonna
stabilizing
put the guardrail on it, but they will put the post on it, and the guardrails will be done later.
eventually.
Hunter, do you know if anyone has contacted anyone with the tourism department?
That I do not. I can't speak on that, but I know they have reached out to several different entities on grant opportunities and have
Right.
Well,
completed
tourism just happened to come to my
grants.
mind because I know that that area is
I mean, I understand
highly
that, but
populated with that.
I don't know for certain, but I would assume that they've done their due diligence, but I mean, that's definitely something we could look into. Anything else, Don?
No, that was the scope of the work and
Well,
everything
let's
you talked
look
about.
here.
And like I said, they've already committed their funding to it, and even on this request, it says, they don't have any pending other funding, other
Yeah, so
sources
let
out
me look
there.
here. So it
Because they've
says,
obviously looked for stuff, they've never gotten anything.
so it says the town has explored other funding opportunities. The town submitted applications for the Kubota Hometown Proud Grant and the 2022 ARPA Community Challenge Grant.
Right.
Other options including the Abandoned Mineland Economic Revitalization Grant and the Federal Bridge Investment Program, but either the application deadlines expired or the reporting and application processes were too cumbersome for the town's part-time employee.
I have no doubt they're probably too-
I know we've spent some ARPA money that way, and then we're water projects, but, I don't think we've spent as much as, I think there's still room for funding to go that way. I mean, if there's other opportunities to fund it, I'm open to that, but
Hunter, I'm of the opinion, and this is just my opinion,
yeah, go ahead.
I don't have a problem getting money to there, because we've talked about it for a while now. They've obviously, if there was any other money out there that they wanted to go get, they probably would have already gotten it by now.
And I,
Because this
just
was-
on it,
This
just on,
has been a while ago when they brought this to us.
just on a personal note, I know all the, and I'm not afraid to say it, I know all the, Brewston Town Council because I'm from Brewston. I was very involved in the town council before I ran for county commission. And I know for a fact that they're a very proactive council and have reached out to even more grant opportunities since we've been,
Right.
since they put in this ARPA.
Well, and the fact, and another thing that I appreciate is the fact that they're putting some of their ARPA funds in for it. They're doing $18,000 on their part.
Yeah, that, I
That
mean,
was the ARPA funding that they're
Yep.
putting towards.
yeah, and that
They've,
is a,
they've committed $18,000 of their money to this.
that is a, fair point, John.
How old is our most recent bid? Is it older than 30 days?
Yes,
It is older than 30 days. It probably would just take a phone call to verify it, but it was October 31st was the one. The other one does not have a date on it, so I don't know what it was, but I would assume it's about the same time.
I'm inclined to hold off 1 week. We will be back in, well, it would be a little bit longer than a week, just because we go down for Preston County Day. We have an opportunity to network with economic development at the state level and also tourism, which I believe could impact something, a project at that point.
Well, that'd be 2 weeks then.
Right, I'm not opposed at all, but I would just like a
Here's
little
what I
bit.
would like to do then, if you don't mind. Joe, could you contact the city of Brewston, town of Brewston, I'm sorry, and just get it up, make sure they get an update to,
Since it's
Yeah.
older,
because and I'm reading the quote, it says the one is only good for 10 days. Well, that's been
and
2
it's
months
been a
ago.
while. It's been a
You know what I mean? And the other one doesn't have a drop dead date on it, but I
it might
assume
take
it
them 2
has
weeks to get it.
a date that it's, it's gotta be done too. So either one, but just to check, and that way we know exactly what they need. Because like I said, we got this originally back in November,
Yeah, so it's
and I'd hate to like go in there half cocked and, not give them exactly what they need.
So, yeah, Joe, if you could get that information, and I'll reach out to, some of the people I know and just try to figure out what other grant opportunities or funding
Yeah,
opportunities.
because Tamara's who originally emailed you,
Reached out.
Tamara's who originally emailed you, Joe, on this, and then you forwarded it to us back in November, so, just reach back out to her and see if she can just get a quick. And I mean, and they already, the two bidders already know the scope of the work, so probably all they gotta do is just go back and double check their, their math, so.
Okay.
Too much.
I would agree, so let's, get that information, and then in the upcoming weeks, try to see if there's no other funding options.
Go ahead and move on with, our county coordinators report. Oh, you going first? All right, sorry.
Miss Samantha has skipped me again. So does the commission believe
We
we
need to
have
get you a
discussed
bright yellow hat.
over?
Well, if there's nothing on there, I mean, if there's like
Right.
nothing there,
Yeah, I
it's
just
like, well,
thought there was
we have to
nothing.
assume that there's really no
Decide
nothing to
either
talk
way.
about. Yeah,
So does the commission agree that we have properly discussed the incident on
I
Monday?
think so.
I think so.
I think we already.
And your marching orders as far as.
Right, exactly,
Stuff that
exactly.
needs
So-
to be done,
And
So
while we're
commission-
doing that though, the buttons that are currently installed, we might wanna have a test of that system. I mean,
Well,
if
push
we
it.
don't- No.
Push it, call the sheriff's office and say, does this work?
Well,
You hear this?
I think that,
Push it, it's right
no,
there.
I'm not calling it just to call it. I think we notify them that we're going to do it.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying, we can call them right now and say,
Justin and
hey,
Wayne-
we're gonna push this button, make sure it works.
If Justin and Dwayne was still
We're
here.
pushing
they
it
could-
now, do you hear it?
And they could call off the troops.
Right, right.
That would be a great plan.
Yeah.
If they was still.
Well, I tell you what, you do that, you come in and push the button, and
Okay.
call them ahead of time and let them know you're testing it.
Okay.
I think we got
And it
that
should
all
be-
addressed.
And no offense to anybody, you're supposed to, I know, like, I've got a security system in my house. You're supposed to check it every 30 days. You gotta test it,
Exactly.
okay?
Yep.
So for the love of God, at least do it every quarter,
So,
make sure it works.
yeah, but I think we're good.
Sure. So just a quick update on the sheriff's office. As you all know, the adjuster is coming from the insurance company today, and it's a much needed visit, to move forward. And I think Mr. Joe Halter has said now he's moved it back to 1, which works out great for your all's busy schedule. So we will meet with him. Now, on the files that was damaged in the flood, the PACE has been getting an estimate on to shred or destroy all the documents, and they have not got back with us yet. Now, our representative from Panhandle is working with them very closely. So there's just a small little holdup there. Now, with the adjuster and the folks from Panhandle will be there today as well, I'm sure a plan moving forward will be come up with very quickly. So the sheriff and his staff, which has did a lot of demolition, are continuing with some demolition, and it has been incredibly helpful. So there was some areas with the camera equipment and all the cameras and the DVR, and Panhandle was not going to demolish that area. And me and Curtis yesterday afternoon very successfully demolished that area so they can continue with that room. So we actually had to take some electric baseboard heaters out. They didn't feel comfortable doing that. So all that's been done. We're trying to keep the progress moving forward. And with the sheriff's help, we are in fact doing that. So other than the adjuster from the insurance company coming at 1 now, that is just about all of the update on the sheriff's office. Everything else seems to be going along fine, other than, of course, the annex incident. All the other buildings seem to be holding up well.
Just one
Trying to fight Mother Nature. So that is.
One question with the annex building, so, do we have the stuff we need to repair the drop ceilings?
We do.
Okay.
Yes.
One thing, we are anticipating some heavy snow tomorrow and through Friday. And so, do you have someone set up to help you?
We do have folks on it that we can reach out to and they'll come. And we'll touch bases with them just to make sure if we do in fact need them.
And job descriptions, are you?
I can very quickly get that job description, and if you all have no objections, we can post the position in the paper and go through all the, you all
Well,
want
we
to
had
see
talked about, it's a good time to make any revisions, if we need to
Right.
make any revisions. So please work on that and get it to us so that we can.
So I will get you today or tonight the revised.
That'd be good, then we can
What
go
we
next
need
week.
to
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
Get your,
All right.
thank you
We
all
need-
so
we
much.
need to get you that help. There's no reason to
Yep.
keep it on down the road.
I
would be
don't
great.
wanna overstep, but that just jogs something in my mind, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
We need to have an estimate of how much it's gonna cost for those repairs. And the reason I say that, it's twofold. Number one, we can put that at restitution.
Correct.
Because this gentleman
Yes.
has been charged.
Yes,
And number two, if it reaches a certain amount, it could make a difference in how he's charged.
that is correct, yes.
Okay.
So we need to have that.
Thank you, Jack.
Just make sure that you get.
Sure,
an
sure.
estimate.
So to Mr. Shea's point, we can still definitely get that because of the work that's not been.
And I don't know who it's gonna be yet. We have to request a special prosecutor for that,
Okay.
obviously, after.
Yeah.
We will, that is very good
Thank you.
advice again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jack.
All right.
We're gonna just keep this short and get everyone closer to being back on schedule. Wanted to go over the website update. One, we've had IT Mindshare working on their proposal to get this up and running. They've shown us some initial setups of how it, how we would navigate the site, how we would update. Cosmetic stuff is still down on the list. Payments are still the priority in this. And as we're approaching the March deadline, we would most likely want to have them implement the payment policy, the online payment system through our existing site. And then as we get into website redesign and development, that we would already have that there and can just hyperlink in to that system. So it would be relatively minor in those terms. We've also had some outside interest in putting together sites, and we've been listening to them. And I would hope that we would have something more to share on that in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
As far as the flooding documents go, I believe you've heard most of that, so we can go through. And then to top it off, we have one budget revision that was presented late.
Was that 911?
Yes, that's for the OEM, that's their 911 council dues. So they are looking for a switch of $1,000 on that.
Okay, I would like to move to approve the budget revision for E911, community E911, is that fine? For a decrease to 001-711-459 of $1,000 and an increase of 001-711-222, $1,000.
Have a second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the budget revision as it's been presented, in the amount of $1,000. Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith? Yes. All right, moving along, anything under miscellaneous?
We do need to mention that the commission is expecting to hold a summit of the elected officials and department heads that is to take place from 5 to 7 p.m. Monday at the Economic Development Authority Chamber of Commerce Farmland Protection offices.
Conference.
In the conference.
I hadn't got that on my calendar yet. I didn't know if you, all I got was the invitation, but I didn't know that it was finalized yet, so.
Yes, Memphis sent out that email.
All right, there will be additional correspondence going out concerning what to expect.
Yes, and security and technology were high on my list of suggested topics even before this, so,
Perfect.
definitely have a.
It's
have a
5 to
discussion on
7.
that.
5 to 7 p.m.
Okay.
And for your knowledge, they have gotten the code pad on the door of the Economic Development Authority office. So if you bypassed the main entrance, which would have been the main entrance of the old health department, if you just hang a right, you go down there and there's another glass door.
20 years.
Well, for the people who would know that point of reference, there is a door down there, a glass door that has a keypad. So that's the door you'll be entering and exiting out of for that.
I was gonna say, Hunter wasn't even born yet, man, please.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Do you have anything else you'd like to discuss, Hunter?
No, just one thing, and I think we could all agree is just coming up, maybe taking a look at our employee handbook. And,
I rewrote it once, so I can send you what the draft I redid.
okay,
Yeah, you can look at it. So,
Commissioner Smith, do you have anything?
yeah, that was it. I mean, I will say one thing though, we had a lot of good discussion with our representatives and stuff when we were down in Charleston, which was really good. It was nice to sit and talk to them about some of the bills they've got coming up and get some information from all of them, so we're that good. So, that's it.
Yes, there's some legislative priorities for the County Commissioners Association, and those are regional jail's always a big one. That bill's always
Oh,
big.
yeah.
Hunter's probably pulling the list out that he has in his little
yeah,
pen.
there you go. Samantha, if you wanna-
Regional jail, legislation to enact a permissive local 1%. It would give the county authority to enact a 1% sales tax. There's already municipalities that do that currently. Support legislation to eliminate the property rollback tax calculation. And then also PEIA. So those, for the County Commissioners Association, those were their top priorities that they are. And of course, one priority for us that's really big is EMS, looking for that funding to help at the state level get some funding for our EMS groups.
Yeah, definitely EMS, and there's also that amusement tax bill that's out there too that could also help the county.
Yeah, and it's actually made it through Randy Smith, Senator Smith
That's
introduced
what
it.
I thought it was.
Yeah, he'd already introduced it. It got through one committee. It's now Senate Finance, so it's.
Oh, it's in finance now?
Yeah, it made it through his committee and now it's going through finance.
All right. We do need an executive session on personnel, so I would like to make a motion to go into, or move to go into executive session on personnel.
I was second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to go into executive session on the matter of personnel. Before we do that, we're going to change a little bit the way that we're doing this because this is appearing to not be as soundproof as we had once thought it was. So we will have everyone go out into the foyer and wait, and we will go back there where we normally do our executive sessions, just for more. And so, Joe, if you want to take care of our recorder, that's perfect. And that executive session will be all of us and Kathy.
Maybe it'll turn just the microphone off.
Vote,
on that.
sorry.
Oh, yes.
I made the motion. You seconded, yes, yes.
Yes, okay, sorry.
Sorry, Dee Dee, thanks for.
He keeps us straight.